Today I'll be showing you how to build an improved and simplified Guardian farm for Minecraft Bedrock Edition. Guardian farms are one of the best sources of experience in all of Bedrock Edition, and this farm is no exception. It can get you to level 100 in just a few minutes, and this farm also produces nearly 70,000 items per hour. This is a fully featured Guardian farm that is cheaper than ever before with simplified redstone. This Guardian farm is designed to work on any world, realm, or server in any simulation distance so that absolutely everybody can build it. You can easily customize this Guardian farm and build it to whatever size you need. So if you have very little resources or if you're early game, you can easily build a small portion of the farm and then upgrade it later on. This is a hybrid Guardian farm, so there are two ways of using it. Mode 1, it lets you just AFK for as long as you want in the overworld. All the Guardians are automatically killed and all the loot and experience are delivered directly to you. You literally don't need to do anything at all. And then it has the super fast insta-kill version in the Nether that gives you maximum rates. If you want to, you can exclude either of these modes to save you a ton of time building and extra resources. So if you wanted a farm that was overworld only with no Nether portals, that is super easy to do. This farm is incredibly fast. It gives you level 30 in under a minute and a level 100 in just over 11 minutes. It also takes about 20 seconds for all the experience and items to reach the player, so technically you're getting a level 30 in about 40 seconds. And because we're using looting 3 trident killers throughout the farm, we're getting 56,000 prismarine items per hour and 17,000 fish per hour. Overall, 73,000 items per hour. It's insanely fast. Just a side note, if you smelt down all of the fish in a furnace, it's actually a really good food source, and it's great for some side experience as well. It's one of the best things to smelt down for experience. The Nether only rates are very fast. You get 200 Guardians in 25 to 30 seconds. This is ideal if you have 2 players using the farm at one time. One person AFKs in the overworld, and the other person just rakes in the experience in the Nether by killing them all. This is an extremely user-friendly farm that I think anybody can build, especially with the simplified and much cheaper redstone than my previous Guardian farms. And this is what the farm looks like when it's in overworld only mode. You literally just stand here forever and you hold a looting 3 sword. That way it applies the looting effect to all of your tridents and kills all the Guardians with looting 3. As you can see, you get a constant stream of experience and items, and there's also a little roof above you. That way phantoms never spawn and you can AFK here for as long as you want. Now you might notice that some of the laserfish are indeed shooting lasers at you, but they die fast enough so that they'll never actually be able to hit you. It's just kind of a free light show that comes with every Guardian farm. Whenever you're done AFKing, you just unflick the lever. It'll take about 20 seconds for all the items to clear out of the water streams, but as you can see, there's just so much experience coming up to you all the time. It is amazing. And this is what it looks like in Nether only mode. You can kind of see the Guardian spawn and then immediately get teleported to the Nether if you don't blink. From just a couple seconds of AFKing in the overworld, we already have a ton of Guardians here in the Nether, and the kill chamber is optimized so they're all a one-hit kill. If you just throw a regular potion of harming at them, they will all die immediately and give you a huge amount of experience, as you can see there. If you accidentally AFK and there is so much lag from Guardians, you can forcefully kill them just by dispensing a little bit of lava there. And in case there is so much lag that you can't even move, you'll need to load the world in peaceful mode. Keep this in mind. Do not AFK for a long time using this. Let's take a look at all the great features and improvements of this Guardian farm. In its default state, this farm is completely off. There's absolutely nowhere for Guardians to spawn. We are physically blocking the water source that they would spawn in, so this farm basically causes no lag when it's in its off state. We also have pillars underneath every spawning spot. That way no Guardians can spawn beneath the farm, possibly hogging up the mob cap and reducing your rates. There's also been some major upgrades to the spawning cell itself. On Bedrock Edition, the spawning cell is basically like the entire Guardian farm and really the most important part. So this spawning cell has two different sections. The top section right here is what allows the guardians to spawn inside of the nether portal and get immediately teleported to the nether, which allows you to get the fastest rates possible. When this piston is extended, they cannot spawn up there. Instead, they spawn in the lower cell if this one is turned on. This lower cell is significantly cheaper, simpler, and more reliable than the elite guardian farm or any of my other guardian farms because we are using a centralized clock. So that one clock controls every single one of these cells, meaning that we only have a little bit of redstone at the center instead of every cell having their own clock at it. When the cell is on, the lower piston retracts, allowing the water to flow out and allowing your guardians to spawn. We have a double trident killer, but if you want to, you can just like remove one of these tridents, replace this piston with a block, and now you've saved yourselves 24 tridents in your farm. This will slightly reduce your rates, but it also saves you on tridents. Previous designs of mine would use a dispenser to get rid of this water source, but occasionally due to lag or other circumstances, that dispenser could get desynchronized. This is a physical system that like cannot break, so you know for sure that your entire farm is off or your entire farm is on, giving you reliable high rates. Oh, we also moved the nether portal up by a block to prevent guardians from occasionally glitching into the portal when you were in overworld only mode. So as you can see, this cell design is incredibly simple, incredibly compact, and anybody can build it. It's literally like, 8 blocks. It is just so easy. And this is what the cell would look like without the nether portal. So this is a pure overworld only version of the farm. And as you can see, it's so easy to build. It is so simple. You got this. Because this guardian farm is designed to work on a simulation distance of 4 or above, that means that we have 24 cells. We cannot have one in the center right here because it's actually too close to the player. We had to move the player down a couple of blocks so that way the guardians could all spawn in the corner cells over here. If you do want to add a guardian cell here in the middle, you would have to go down by like 6-7 blocks and have it in that little room, which is perfectly fine. You can do that if you want, and you'll increase your rates by like 1/25. If you enjoy this kind of Bedrock tutorial, then of course subscribe and maybe share around the video so that other people can enjoy this tech as well. Thank you so much, and let's hop into the tutorial, shall we? For your convenience, there is a full materials list down in the description of the video, and there's a world download on my website, silentwhisperer.com, so you can download this world and check out the farm before building it in survival. The first thing that you need to do is find yourself an ocean monument. You can pick pretty much any ocean monument. They're all going to work the same. I would avoid one that's in a cold biome, so if there's an iceberg above it, just skip it. You don't want to mess with freezing water. Keep in mind that the direction of your ocean monument has no impact on anything ever. Just ignore it. If you're playing on a simulation distance of 4, you can have your ocean monument be next to islands or land. It doesn't matter. Mobs won't be able to spawn there. However, if you're playing on a sim distance of 6 or above, you're going to want to find an ocean monument that is surrounded by more water. That way you don't need to spawn proof any bits of land. Once you find a good monument, go to every corner of the ocean monument and go out by a block and pillar up with a pillar of sand all the way to the surface of the water. And do that on all 4 sides. And now we're going to build up some walls between all of these pillars. So it's going to be going from the surface layer of the water down by 3 blocks. So 4 in total. And of course you need to fill in these walls between all of the pillars. You can build this out of glass blocks or whatever else you want. Once all of your walls are in place, we need to go on the inside corner and start installing the floor. The floor is going to be at this layer right here, and you need to build this out of solid blocks. You can use cobblestone, stone, pretty much anything that you want as long as it's not slabs or anything like that. That's what it should look like once you have the floor in place, and now we need to start draining out this water. So we're going to build up some walls of sand on every 4th block all the way to the surface, and then basically just build that along like so, and then once you have these walls built up, you can essentially just spam down some sponges in here. If you have raided your ocean monument, hopefully you'll have a couple of sponges. If not, then you'll need to go get some. But yeah, you basically just place them down in here on the corners and on the sides, and that will remove all the water fairly easily for you. If you have resources to spare, you might consider building my recent water clearing flying machine, which will make quick work of draining this entire ocean monument. You can build one machine to clear out the entire thing in just a couple of minutes. Now that we have all of this done, we need to find our spawning spots. There are only 25 spots in the entire Bedrock ocean monument where guardians will spawn. So grab yourself a locator map and find your icon. You can do that by spinning around. If you face towards the top of the map, that is always going to be north. So we're going to go to the upper left corner of the farm, which is the northwest corner. Once you're at the northwest corner of your farm, you need to grab yourself some counting blocks and some marking blocks. So we're going to get 3 counting blocks and go in by 3 blocks from our corner right here. And this block right here is going to be our first spawning spot. So guardians will be able to spawn right here. So once you have that marked out, we need to go down by 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then on the 11th block, that is your next spawning spot. And then we're going to go to the right by another 10 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then on the 11th is your next block. So mark that out. And then it's good to know that all of these spawning spots are actually lined up with another. So they are in a grid. However, the grid is not evenly spaced. So keep that in mind. So we have 4 of our spawning spots marked out right here, and on screen right now you can see the entire grid of the spawning spots. So those numbers are the blocks in between the spawning spaces. So if it says 10, that is 10 blocks in between the spawning spots. Hopefully this makes sense to you. You need to mark out all of these in your Minecraft world. And this is pretty much what your grid should look like once you have it finished. Make sure that all of it is counted out correctly and triple check everything. If you mess this part up, it's going to cause you a lot of issues later on down the line. You can go ahead and remove all of your counting blocks. We just need to keep all of the marker blocks in place. That way we know exactly where our spawn spots are. Now, I would recommend going underneath each one of your spawning spots and digging all the way down through the ocean monument until you hit stone or whatever, and just filling that in with a column of solid blocks. This way no guardians can spawn underneath your platform and they can never give you any issues with the farm going forwards. So do that for all 25 spots. You can use any block that you like. Keep in mind that everything I do with this farm, I'm going to be facing north. That is our default direction, is north. So just keep that in mind for the rest of the video. And of course that is facing the top of the locator map. So the first thing that we're going to do is install all of our water streams. These will deliver all the items and experience to the player. And we're going to start at the very middle of the farm and bring this little marker block down into the platform, go over by 2 blocks, and then you want to break out 4 blocks right here and install packed ice underneath all of that. On the 5th block, you want a piece of soul sand underneath that one, and this is going to be the bubble column that goes up to your AFK spot. We're going to be using a lot of packed ice in this build. You can use blue ice if you want, but it's completely pointless, so don't bother. And now we need to install our first water stream. So we're going to go to the north all the way and break out all of these blocks until there is only 2 blocks left in the platform, and then we're going to install packed ice 1 block below that, and we're going to run this all the way back until we get to here, and we need to do that on the south side as well. So break out all of these blocks to the end until there's only 2 blocks left and run packed ice underneath absolutely all of that. And that is what your first north-south water stream should look like. And now we need to install our east and west water streams. So go back to your central point and we need to count to the north by 6 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Break out this one. This is going to be block number 1, and we need to go into this direction by 24 blocks. So break out all of these and put down packed ice underneath the water, basically, and this is going to be block number 24. And now we need to go in the opposite direction, so east by 18 blocks. This is block number 1, and go forwards by 18 until you've placed down all of your packed ice, and it looks a little bit something like this. And this is what it looks like once you have the east and west water streams installed. And now we just need to expand these water streams. So all we need to do is go to this one over here and basically dig it out, going all the way to the north until there is 2 blocks left on it, or until it lines up with the original water stream, and then do that on the south side as well. So break out all of these blocks, put packed ice underneath it, and it should line up with the one in the middle that we already built. And now we're going to do that same thing on the east side as well. So come over here, break out all of these blocks and put packed ice down underneath it. Again, it should line up with your middle and then your west water streams. And then we're going to go ahead and break out all of these blocks down here as well. I think you get the point by now. It's a lot of packed ice. Anyway, this is going to line up with your other two water streams. This is what it should look like once you have all of your main water streams installed. So these water streams are going to be taking all the items and experience from each of your guardian cells and delivering them directly to the player. Now keep in mind, there are two different types of guardian cells. There are the right-handed ones, which send items out to the right, which I've marked out with the orange blocks. And then there are the left-handed ones, which will send items to the left. Basically, these are just a mirrored version. That way we can have less water streams and less redstone. So the left-handed cells are marked out in green. And total, we only need 10 left-handed cells. It's going to be this entire second column right here, and then the fifth column over here on the far right side. So I'm going to start off by showing you how to build a right-handed cell in the middle here, and I would recommend building the middle 4 of these first. And then if you have the resources of the time, you can go ahead and expand to the right or to the left and add more cells as you gather more resources. It really is an expandable farm. So let's go to the second cell right here, and we're going to break out these 3 blocks. We need packed ice underneath all of these, and this end packed ice is going to be directly below your marker block. On the 4th block right here, we just need a solid block right there, and then we're going to place in a stair in this orientation. Turn around, and we need a regular piston right here and 2 regular pistons like this. We're then going to need 3 redstone dust on top of all of those, get a slab right here, and then a solid block. Place in a repeater right here on 4 ticks, redstone dust, redstone torch, and a redstone dust to power this piston. Then go ahead and just place a water bucket into that stair so that's waterlogged. Whenever this piston is retracted, that's going to allow the guardians to spawn in that flowing water. And then we're going to place ourselves a trapdoor right next to this water stream. And now all we need to do is put a couple pieces of glass directly above these 3 blocks to keep our guardians in there. That is as simple as it gets for the overworld only cell. If you don't want a nether version, then you just stop here. And this is also set up for 2 tridents. If you don't want to use 48 tridents in the full farm, or if you just really don't care about rates, then what you can do is you can remove a trident. You'll need the trident to be the closer one to the trapdoor, so don't put a trident on top of that piston there. Basically, we're going to remove that redstone and piston, replace that with a solid block and redstone dust, and then remove the repeater, the redstone, and the slab, and put a repeater right here on 4 ticks. So as you can see, it gets cheaper and even simpler if you only want a single trident. For the tutorial, I'm going to be building the 2 trident version because that's what I told you the rates for. If you want the optional feature of being able to send your guardians to the nether for maximum rates, then it's really easy to add on. All you need to do is put in a sticky piston right here, slab in front of it, 2 pieces of glass next to that marker block, solid block right here, and then a slab to the side of it. We're going to put 2 redstone on top of there, and then a lever right here to temporarily power this. If the piston is extended, no guardians will spawn above it, so make sure that this is powered until you're done building the farm. Otherwise, the nether is going to have 1,000 guardians in it by the time you get done building. Now we're going to go around to this side and place in 2 pieces of obsidian right here, lined up with the stair and redstone. Place in 3 obsidian right here, temporary block, 3 obsidian here, temporary block, 2 obsidian on the top, and then just go ahead and light that with your flint and steel. You might want to wait until the end of the build process to light the portals because they are very loud and annoying. But once you have lit your portals, go ahead and replace your marker block with a piece of water and then place a solid block above it right here. Again, make sure that piston is powered. So that's how you build the right-hand cells, and you're going to need 4 of these in the middle. In total, you'll need 14 of them at each one of the orange spots. Now, for the side ones, the west line right here and the east line right here, as you can see, you're going to need to make your water streams a little bit longer just so that they connect up to the middle here. But, you know, that's 2 blocks. It's pretty easy to figure that out. So yeah, build 1 of these right-handed cells at each one of the orange blocks that we have floating, except for this one in the middle. And this is what it should look like once you have all of your right-hand cells installed. And now let me show you how to build the left-hand cells. For the left-hand cells, just pick any of these. They're basically all the same. We're going to go directly down underneath it, break out a block, and then break out left until we reach the nearest water stream. Of course, you need packed ice underneath all of this, and then we're going to go one block to the right of the marker block and have a solid block right there. Place in yourself a stair, and then turn around. We need a regular piston here, and 2 right there. Place in ourselves a slab here, and then a solid block. We need ourselves redstone dust on top of the pistons, a repeater on 4 ticks right here, redstone dust, redstone torch, and a piece of redstone right there. Go ahead and get in ourselves a trapdoor right here. Make sure there's a 1 block gap between the trapdoor and the piston, and then waterlog that stair. Grab 3 pieces of glass and place that above these 3 blocks right here. So that's purely for overworld only killing. If you want to get the nether only mode on there as well, simply place in yourself a sticky piston right here, a slab right there, 2 pieces of glass in these areas, saw a block above the piston, and then an upper slab right there. Place in 2 pieces of redstone dust and then your lever to temporarily power that piston. Go around to the opposite side. We're going to place in some obsidian lined up with that stair in these 2 locations. 3 obsidian right here, a temporary block, 3 obsidian up, another temporary block, and then another 2 obsidian on the top. You can light that portal anytime you want, and then once you've lit the portal, you'll need to grab yourself a piece of water and replace your marker block right there. And simply go ahead and place in a solid block directly above it like so, and that is your entire left-hand cell complete. You now need to build 9 more of those at each place that we have a green marker block. So basically the 2nd column of spawning cells, and then the 5th column over here as well. And that's what it looks like once you have all 24 of your cells installed. And now we're going to do the water streams for the entire farm, starting with the middle column of cells and starting at the very south side. So place in yourself a water source right here, wait for it to stop flowing, and then a button, and then another water source, wait for it to stop, button, water source, and you kind of repeat that process. So we're going to count 4 blocks to the south from here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put yourself a button there, and then 3 blocks to the north from here. So 1, 2, 3, button, and then a button right there. Place in yourself a source there and a source there, and that will direct all the items directly up the bubble column. And now continuing to the north side, it's basically the exact same process. So we place in a water source here, wait for it to stop flowing, button, water source, wait for it to stop, button, water source, and then this little intersection right here is a bit different. So 3rd block over, we need in a button, and then 3rd block over, we need in a button. Place in a source there and a source there, but as you can see, it's kind of like stagnant, still water, so we're going to place in another button there just to make sure this little intersection actually works. So that is the entire north-south line of our water streams done. The west and east sides are basically identical, so we're just going to do this side over here. And basically what you do is you place in a piece of water next to either of these trapdoors, and you just wait for it to flow to the end. Place in a button here, and then a button at this part of the intersection as well. Water source between that, it's just 2 blocks. I know it's kind of pathetic, but we're going to place in another source here, and another one here, just to have these intersections nice and clean. Put in your button, and then your water source, and then once you get to the next batch of cells, it's the same deal. Button right here, and then water source and water source. And then this intersection where it goes to the middle of the farm is a little bit different. So we just have buttons on either side of that and 1 water source going down the middle. So these cells over here are, again, exactly the same. We have water source next to these trapdoors, and it flows down there. And then we just put a button here, and water source there and there. I think you kind of get the idea. It's pretty straightforward. You can't really mess it up, but I'll show you the finished product. And the east side of the farm is basically identical as well. As you can see from this aerial view, it's pretty simple and fairly straightforward. So you're going to need to put a layer of glass above your entire water stream system. So everywhere that you have a piece of packed ice or water, you need to cover up the entire system with a layer of glass. Now, it doesn't need to be glass. It could be like some solid blocks, like stone, for example. But glass actually allows you to see in there. So if you mess up the water streams, you can see if there's any stuck experience or items in there. And that's what all your water streams will look like once they are covered in a layer of glass. If you decided to install the nether portals for the nether killing mode, then you're also going to need a line of slabs that is basically identical to all of these glass water stream lines. So it's going to be at the third block up, this exact layer right here. That way you can actually walk underneath it, and it's going to follow the exact layout of all of your water streams. So anywhere that you have packed ice or water or glass, go ahead and put a layer of slabs in, going across the entirety of the farm, and make sure they are upper slabs, that way you can actually place some redstone on them. And that's what the basics of your slab layout should look like. And now to install the final redstone lines and interconnect the entire farm. So we're gonna go to our central spawning spot right here and then go south by 4 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we're gonna place in a piece of redstone on the middle piece of glass here. Solid block to either side, and above it, a redstone torch on the outside edges like so, and then we need 2 solid blocks in each of these locations to make this little shape. And then we need a repeater right there, place in ourselves a redstone dust on top of that slab, and then a redstone block above that redstone to actually power it. We'll come back later and finish up this clock and set this up to our AFK spot above us, but for now, we just need these redstone lines to be powered, that way we can more easily build them. Building up these redstone lines is really easy, so all you need to do is grab yourself a line of redstone dust and then continue that along until the signal runs out. As you can see, it's no longer powered right here. So then we're just going to place a solid block right there and a solid block right there with a repeater in the middle. These solid blocks will save you just a little bit of redstone cost, and then we simply extend out this redstone line until it connects into our pistons. So the lower redstone line is going to connect to your lower pistons with the repeater, and then your upper redstone line is going to connect to this one singular sticky piston right here. So that's an example of how to do the lower redstone line, and now we need to do the upper redstone line. So we're going to continue this along until it connects to our first cell, and then what you need to do is remove your lever. Now, as you can see, the redstone here is powered, but it can't travel down the slab, so you need to replace that slab with a solid block, and then as you can see, it'll power that piston. So continue along your redstone line until it runs out of signal strength, like right here. Place in your 2 solid blocks and your repeater, and then just continue that along until it powers this next piston. Remember to install your solid block and make sure that absolutely every single one of these sticky pistons gets powered. Otherwise, again, you're going to have guardians flooding into the nether. So that's how you do the southern section of the middle column. And then to extend it to the north side, all we're going to do is run it into a repeater, and we're going to have a repeater at this intersection right here like so, and that's actually going to be at both layers, simply so that we can more easily expand the redstone line. Using what I just showed you, you should be able to do the north section of the middle column fairly easily. It's basically just a redstone line. It really is just a redstone line. Like, you don't need to build it how I'm showing it. As long as it powers everything, it'll work just fine, like for real. Going over to the right side though, you might be confused how to connect the upper section to these sections, and that's super easy. Grab yourself some slabs, put yourself a solid block there, and then bam, you grab some redstone dust, remove your levers, and you are good to go. It really is as simple as that. Just make sure that everything is powered. And of course, for the lower section, all you need to do is drag the redstone from the middle line and connect that to your pistons. It really is as easy as that. And this is what all of the redstone lines should look like once you have them fully installed. It's okay if they look a little bit different as long as everything is getting properly powered. The farm is now nearly done. We just need to install the AFK platform above the middle of the farm. So go to the central spot of the farm right here, and we're going to pillar up by a bunch of blocks until we reach Y layer 81. So you're going to be standing right here on top of Y layer 81 when you are in Nether only mode. And then if you want to be using the overworld only mode, you need to go down by 3 blocks and 1 block towards the west. And this is going to be at Y layer 78. When you're standing right here, you're going to be activating all 24 of your cells when you are in overworld only mode. If you're standing up here in overworld only mode, you're going to be missing out on those 4 corner cells and losing thousands of items per hour and a ton of experience. So basically, just go ahead and make sure that you got your 2 spots marked out, and you'll want a ladder going from the lower one to the upper one. So your main AFK platform is going to be up here around this layer. You can build whatever you want up here, and you're going to need some sort of storage system for all of your items. Now we need to build up the bubble column around our soul sand, so we're just going to have a little layer of blocks going all the way up to white layer 83, and of course you need to do this on all 4 sides of it basically, and that's what it should look like once you got that built up. And now we're going to place in a temporary block and 2 double chests at the same layer as our platform. Go ahead and place 4 hoppers into the back of it, 4 hoppers into the top of it, and then 4 hoppers into the sides of those hoppers. Each one of these is 2 times speed storage, so this is 8 times speed storage, which will help keep up with all of your Guardian Farm items. Put some guardrails on that, and then a button right there to stop the water. You can break out this block, and now you need to fill in this entire thing with water. If you pillar up using some ice blocks, then break all those ice with Fortune, you will have water in here, and then put 1 water source at the top. You also need some solid blocks right here to stop those items from launching out. And now to install the on and off switches for the farm, you want to go to the edge of your platform and line yourself up with that redstone block below. Put in yourself a solid block right here, and then a solid block right here. You want levers on both of those. Optionally, you can add some redstone torches on the back, and then some redstone lamps above those. This left one is going to be for your nether mode, so when the lamp is on, the nether mode is on. The right one is overworld mode. When the lamp is on, the farm is on. And now you need to go down underneath these things and place in some sticky pistons facing downwards, and I would also recommend that you flick these levers. So now you need to go down by 11 slime blocks on both of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then the 12th one is a redstone block. Then place in yourself another sticky piston, slime block right here, and a redstone block right there. Then grab yourself a redstone dust and put in yourself a redstone torch right here, and that is going to complete your lower clock. And that's what your 2 redstone lines should look like once they are fully installed. As you can see, the left one is the same as the right one, except that we don't have a slime block on the right one. And now it's time to build the nether side of your farm if you have that option enabled. So what you need to do is go to the very center spawn spot of your farm, get your coordinates, and divide those by 8. You need to build a nether portal at that location in the nether. If you don't know how to link nether portals, check out the tutorial in the upper right or down in the description. You can install your nether portal at any height that you want to in the nether. Just make sure you got like 20 or so blocks underneath of it to work with. On the back side of the portal, you need to put a wall, that way none of the guardians spill out of that side, because that would be a bad thing. On the front side of it, you need to build a 2x2 of glass blocks going down 14 blocks, counting from the bottom layer of the portal. This is 1, 2, 3, and then all the way down to 14. At the bottom here, you're going to install some lower slabs. At the top of the tube, you need to put some signs down at the 4th layer, and then we need 3 layers of lava above this. So 1 lava source in the corner, 1 lava source in that corner, and you are good to go. Box this in with a 3 tall wall on all sides, and then put a roof on top of it as well. Now for some simple storage down here at the bottom, come to the left side and install a double chest right here. Hoppers into the back of it, hoppers into the top of it, and hoppers into those hoppers right there, and then do the same thing on the other side as well. Once you have both your double chests installed, you now want to build yourself a little walkway running up to this thing. We're going to place in 2 more hoppers right here, break out these 2 glass blocks, put in 2 trapdoors right there, and then we want ourselves 2 more trapdoors in these locations and a couple of redstone blocks above them. I would recommend using iron trapdoors, that way you can't flick these manually, and especially for these top ones, that way the guardians never escape. If you use regular trapdoors, you're gonna have a bad time. You need to stand about 3 blocks away, right between these 2 blocks, aim directly underneath those iron trapdoors, and then when you throw your potions, that'll land right in the middle of the kill chamber and kill all of the guardians in 1 hit. You only need level 1 harming potions, you do not need level 2. And I would highly recommend breaking out this block, putting in a dispenser, and then a lava bucket, that way you have an emergency kill switch in case there are too many guardians. That's the entire nether kill chamber. I would highly recommend that you upgrade the storage system because you're going to be getting a lot of items, especially if you do this with 2 players. And now for the final touches of the farm. you need to throw in all the tridents. So you got to go to every cell and throw in 2 tridents. You need one on top of this piston and one on top of this block. Now, you can use any trident that you want. It doesn't matter how much durability it has. It will never, you know, despawn or decay or whatever. But if you use an unenchanted trident, your rates are going to be significantly reduced. Ideally, you need Impaling 3 or above. Impaling 3 will 2-hit kill your guardians, so make sure that you have at least Impaling 3. You can use Impaling 4 or 5 if you want to or need to. It just has no effect on the rates, and if you need a bunch of Impaling books, definitely buy them from villagers. Check out my villager trading tutorial, linked everywhere if you need help with that. Anyway, you just throw 1 trident on top of the piston and then 1 trident in top of this block, and make sure they're both in front of these pistons right here. You are good to go, and do this at every single cell. If you only want to use 1 trident per cell, make sure that trident is the one closer to the trapdoor. That way the guardians don't get bunched up right here if you're only killing them on the left side, for example. If you enjoyed this tutorial, drop a like, share it around, and consider subscribing so that you can see future tutorials that I release. I also have 270 tutorials on the channel. Definitely check those out if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys down in the comment section and in the next one.